Today we are going to discuss about electric charges and fields. We know that every substance is made up of atoms. A substance is collection of atoms. And atoms are collection of fundamental particles. What are those fundamental particles? Protons, electrons and neutrons. Atoms are collection of fundamental particles. What are those fundamental particles? They are stated like this. Fundamental particles are first one proton, second one electron, third one neutron. These three particles are called as fundamental particles. Before going to discuss about the main content, we should know some of the basics of atomic structure. We know that proton and neutron, P and N, exist in the nucleus. That's why these two are called as nucleons. We know that proton and neutron exist in the nucleus, that's why they are called nucleons. What about the electron? Electrons revolve around the nucleus. These fundamental particles are classified based on their charge. Protons, neutrons, electrons are classified based on their charges. First of all, we should know what is charge. Here we are going to the main concept. What is electric charge? Proton is positively charged. Electron is negatively charged. Neutron is neutrally charged. What is charge? Proton is positively charged, electron is negatively charged, neutron is neutrally charged. What is electric charge? The excess or deficiency. The excess or deficiency of electrons on a body is called electric charge. Of electrons on a body is called electric charge. See here, excess or deficiency of electrons. That means some objects may have the excess number of electrons, some objects lack of electrons. This excess amount of electrons are gained by any substance. That substance is called negatively charged. If any substance having lack of electrons, that substance is called positively charged. We are going to see some examples of this electrification and charging. As we are already discussing about the electric charge, excess or deficiency of electrons is called electric charge. This charge is two types, positively charged and negatively charged. And negative charge. What is the meaning of positive charge? If any substance is losing the electrons in any process of electrification, that substance is called positively charged. And I'm repeating, if any substance is losing the electrons in any process of electrification, that is called as positively charged body. If any substance gaining the electrons in any process of the electrification, that body is called as negatively charged body. So positively charged body means loss of electrons. Positive charge means loss of electrons. According to the definition, deficiency of electrons. Negative charge, gain of electrons or excess of electrons. Gain of electrons or excess of electrons. How these electrons or any charged particles will transfer from one body to the another body, or one atom to the another atom, or one substance to the another substance. There are three different ways of charging a body. Those are called as, first one, induction, second one, conduction. First one induction, second one conduction, third one friction. Why we are dealing with these three topics? Yes, see the definitions, loss of electrons or gain of electrons. How a body can lose the electrons and how a body can gain the electrons. There is a process called electrification or charging a body. These three are called as different ways of charging a body. In these three ways, any one way is possible to loss of electrons or gain of electrons. That's why these three are collectively called as ways of charging a body. How the charge will transfer in induction process, how the charge will transfer in conduction process, how the charge will transfer in friction process. We are going to deal in the next. Now we are going to discuss about charging by induction. Listen carefully. What is charging by induction? Take a neutral body, means the total charge of that body is 0, neutral, and we want to charge it. And this neutral body will be charged by another charged body without making any physical contact between them. That means it will be like this. Charging a neutral body by another charged body without making any physical contact between them. Contact between between them. That means take a body, its charge is 0, nothing but neutral. Now I want to inject the charge to this neutral body. For this purpose, I am placing another charged body which is close to the neutral body but not any physical contact. Means these two bodies are not at all in contact. They are separated by some distance, and this is a charged body. The charge which is present in this charged body can develop an induced charge in the neutral body. That's why the charge developed in the neutral body is called induced charge. But the charge which is present in the charged body is called inducing charge. Again I am saying this is a neutral body. Now I want to charge it. That's why I am placing a charged body by maintaining some gap. And as already I said that there is no physical contact between these two bodies. The charge which is present in the charged body is called inducing charge. This inducing charge can produce an amount of induced charge in the neutral body. Like this, a neutral body can be charged. Next process, charging by conduction. What is the meaning of charging by conduction? A neutral body, as usual, it should be charged. That's why we are placing this neutral body in contact with a charged body. See this one, conduction. What is the meaning of conduction? Conduction means the flow of electrons from source to receiver. If you see the electric circuits in our domestics, okay, source and receiver all are connected through the wires. That means whenever the charge is started to transfer from the source, it should be reached to the receiver through the wires. That means there is a physical contact between the source and receiver through the wires, such like that if a neutral body should be charged, this neutral body should place in contact with the charged body, then only the conduction process will be possible. So the way of charging a neutral body by placing in contact with a charged body is called conduction. So let me write the definition. The way of charging a neutral body by placing it in contact with a charged body. See this one. The way of charging a neutral body by placing it in contact with a charged body is called conduction process. We already discussed induction. There is no contact, they are separated. Induced charge and inducing charge, they are related like this. And here conduction, source and receiver are in contact. Maybe this diagram can be written like this. Neutral body, charged body. Best example for the conduction, yes, we are keeping our mobiles to be charged. Whenever the power is going to decrease to some extent level, we are keeping to the plug. That means that mobile is under the charging process. What is the way of charging in this case? Charging through conduction, because the source and the receiver are made in contact through the plug. Finish charging by induction and charging by conduction. Only one thing is left in the ways of charging, that is charging via friction. By friction. What is charging by friction? Take two bodies, maybe neutrally charged or positively charged or negatively charged. They used to rub together for some time. Whenever in case of rubbing, a frictional force converts to the heat, and this heat can transfer the charges from one body to another body. The diagram will be like this. This is one body, this is another body. These two bodies and the surfaces will be close to each other, and these two are rubbed together. In case of rubbing, frictional force always opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces. We know that. In this case, the charges in one body will transfer from one body to another body. So this is first body, this is second body. There is a mutual exchange of the charges from one body to another body. Mutual exchange means some ions will transfer to the second body as well as some ions will transfer to the first body. This is the main phenomena by charging by friction. In this case, charges developed on the two bodies will be in same magnitude but opposite in direction. See clearly. In charging by friction, we are taking two bodies, made physical contact, rubbed together for some time. In this case, a frictional force can develop the heat. Through the heat, the charges will transfer from one body to another body. In case of friction, there is a mutual exchange of the charge carriers. See the arrow marks. In this mutual exchange of the charge carriers, okay, these two bodies will get charged, but they will receive the opposite charges, but in same magnitude. That's why in case of charging by friction, same in magnitude charge will develop on each other, but the charges are opposite in direction. Means charge is same in magnitude but opposite in direction. What are the examples? Rubbing of balloons. If two balloons are rubbed together, then place two balloons after the rubbing. These two will repel each other. Means they both possess the same charge but in opposite direction, but these two balloons can separately attract the small paper pieces and paper particles and small dust particles also. This is one of the way to see the physical significance of the charging by friction. And one more thing, charging by friction, we can say many examples. A polythene is rubbed on the woolen cloth. In this case also, charge will transfer from one body to another body. A glass rod is rubbed with the silk cloth. A plastic rod is rubbed with the silk cloth. In all these cases are the examples of charging by friction. In this case, there is a mutual exchange of the charge carriers from one body to another body. And we will see some examples in form of problems how much charge will transfer from one body to another body. Here, see one problem. A polythene piece rubbed with wool is found to have a negative charge of 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulombs, where the C refers to coulombs. What is coulomb? Coulomb is the SI unit of electric charge. So 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulombs. Now, what's our duty? Estimate number of electrons transferred from wool to polythene. See the problem? Polythene piece is rubbed with wool. A polythene piece, maybe a rod or maybe any metal object which is rubbed with wool, is found to have a negative charge of this much. Whenever this is the charge, how much electrons will transfer from wool to polythene? These things we are going to discuss. Listen carefully. See, charge, how much? 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulombs. Symbol of charge is Q. This charge having many properties. charge is additive, charge is quantized, charge is conserved. What is charge is additive? Yes, if a body contains many atoms and many molecules, what is the total charge of the substance? It is nothing but the sum of the individual charges. Charge symbol is Q. If you want to find out the total charge of the substance, there is a formula where Q is equal to NE. What is this Q, sir? Total charge. What is this N, sir? Number of charged particles exchanged. What is this E, sir? Charge of electron. Listen, Q is equal to charge or total charge of the substance. N is equal to number of charged particles exchanged. What is this E, sir? Charge of individual charged particle. Now please see, Q is equal to Ne. Now see the question, we should find out the number of electrons transferred from wool to polythene. Means we should find out the N. Where Q is equal to Ne, what about the N? Q by E. Therefore, N is equal to Q by E. What is Q? 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulombs. What is E? Charge of individual charged particle, nothing but 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. Coulomb and coulomb get cancelled. This 10 power minus 19 goes up. 3 by 1.6 into 10 to the power of 12. And we can write 3 by 1.6 as 30 by 16 into 10 power 12. It is approximately equal to 1.875 into 10 to the power of 12 electrons. That means for this amount of charge, if a polythene piece rubbed with wool of having this much of charge, these many number of electrons will exchange from one body to another body. This is one sample problem for the exchange of the charge carriers when we discussed in friction. Now we are going to see the different properties of charge. Properties of charge. Properties of charge. Already we discussed about the charge, what are the different charges exist, and at the same time what is their value, what is their unit. Now we are going to discuss about the different properties of charge. First property, like charges repel. Second one, unlike charges attracts. These are the common and everyone knows about these two properties. Like charges repel, unlike charges attracts. And one more, third one, charge is additive. What is the meaning of charge is additive? Listen carefully. We already discussed that Q is total charge. Mostly capital Q is the symbol of the total charge of a substance. And this capital Q is defined as sum of individual charges of the charged particles in the substance. Please see clearly, where Q is the total charge of the substance. And this total charge is defined as sum of, see this, sum of individual charges present in the substance. That individual charge is defined as small q. That means, what is the total charge of a given substance? Capital Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 and so on up to Qn, where n is equal to 1 to n. What we can say? Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 and so on Qn. So charge is additive. That means total charge of a substance is sum of the individual charges. Fourth one, charge is quantized. What is charge is quantized? It will be defined like this. What is the fourth property? Charge is quantized. What is charge is quantized? What is the meaning of quantization? We can express a physical quantity in a form of discrete energy levels. What is the meaning of discrete? Yes, see here, charge is a physical quantity and we can express total charge of a body in integral multiples of a discrete. Charge is quantized means, listen carefully. What is the meaning of quantization? If any physical quantity it can be expressed in terms of discrete energy form or discrete forms is called quantization. That in discrete forms is called quanta. See the fourth property, charge is quantized. See, charge is a physical quantity and this physical quantity is quantized. What is the meaning of quantization of a physical quantity? It will be expressed like this. What is quantization? If a physical quantity is expressed in terms of discrete values called quanta, and this quanta is any multiple integrals of a physical quantity is called quantization. That means, listen carefully, what is quantization? A physical quantity expressed or can be expressed in terms of discrete values. That discrete value is called quanta. Expressing a physical quantity in terms of discrete values called quanta. Each discrete value is called quanta. And this quanta can be expressed in terms of an integral multiple. This process is called quantization. See, charge is quantized means the total charge of the substance Q can be expressed as integral multiples of a quanta, where this quanta discrete value of the charge. That means Q is equal to Ne. What is this Q? Total charge. What is this N? Number of charged particles exchanged. What is this E? Charge of individual charged particle. E is charge of charged particle. What are these values? Q is equal to Ne, Q is equal to total charge of the substance, N is equal to number of charged particles exchanged in any process of electrification or charging. What is E? Charge of charged particles. What are the charged particles we have? Go back to the initial point of this lesson. Proton, electron, neutron. These three are called fundamental particles. What is the charge of proton? Positive in magnitude. But what is the value? 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. What is electron? It is negatively charged. What is the value? Same, 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. What is the charge of neutron? Neutrally charged. That means 0. That means E is equal to charge of electron or proton. That means this Q value can be changed like this. Q is equal to plus or minus Ne. Plus or minus indicates the magnitude of charge. If it is positive charge, nothing but the proton, we can say Q is equal to plus Ne. If it is electron, we can say Q is equal to minus Ne. So, in quantization process, we said that Q is equal to plus or minus Ne. Plus refers to the positive charge magnitude, minus refers to the negative charge magnitude. What is the fifth property of the charge? Charge is conserved. Charge is conserved. See this one, this highlighted part. What is the meaning of conserved or conservation? If you go back to the law of conservation of energy, which is useful for us, energy neither created nor be destroyed, but energy changes from one form to another form. Like that, we can apply the same theorem or same thesis for the charge also. Go back to the process of chargification or electrification. Induction is one process, conduction is another process, friction is another process. In case of friction, one object, another object, they both are in contact for some while. In this case, what we discussed, there is a possibility for the exchange of the charge carriers or mutual exchange of the charge carriers. Means one object loses the electrons, another object loses the protons. But how the charge will conserve in this process? Listen carefully. Gain of electron is equal to loss of protons, and loss of electrons is equal to gain of electrons. That means loss of one charged particle is replaced by the gain of another charged particle which is oppositely charged. This is called as charge is conserved. That means it is like this. Loss of a charge is equal to gain in charge which is opposite in nature. Loss of charge is equal to gain of charge. Listen, suppose if a loss of electrons means number of electrons lost by a substance will be replaced by gain in same number of protons. Gain of protons. Suppose loss of proton exists, that will be replaced by gain in electrons. Gain of electrons. So totally, whenever a process is completed, number of charge carriers in both the bodies will be same. There will be no loss or no gain. It is collectively called as conserved nature of the charge. So charge is conserved. The sixth property of the charge is invariant. What is the meaning of invariant? The magnitude of charge won't change with respect to the change in velocity. Whatever may be the velocity of the charge, magnitude of charge is not going to change. This is called invariance of the charge. What is the seventh property? If a charge which is at rest position, it produces the electric field. But if the same charge which is under the accelerated motion, it produces electric field as well as magnetic field. That means this lesson what we are discussing is almost an explanation of the static charges. So listen carefully. Charge at rest can produce only electric fields. But a charge which is under the accelerated motion produces electric field as well as magnetic field. A charge in motion or acceleration can produce electric field as well as magnetic field. As well as magnetic fields. What is the ninth property of the charge? Charge can be distributed over the surface of a body, along the length of a body, or over the volume of the body. This is said to be charge is distributive. See, these are the major properties of the charge. We know that charge can give an induced charge, a charge can charge a body which is already neutral. We know that like charges repel, dislike charges attract, charge is quantized, charge is additive, charge is conserved, charge is invariant, charge at rest produces the electric field, charge in motion or in acceleration can produce the electric field as well as the magnetic field. And charge is distributive. It is distributed over the surface, over the volume, or along the length of a conducting body. These are the main properties of charge. What is the SI unit of charge? It is Coulomb. Now, unit of charge. Majorly, the total world is utilizing the SI system of units for any physical quantity. SI system of units is measured by the worldwide to measure any physical quantity. Based on this one, what is the SI unit of charge? Coulomb. Symbol is C. SI unit of charge is Coulomb. Second one, CGS unit of charge is Stat Coulomb or EMU of charge. What is the definition of the Coulomb? It will be like this. It is like this. If you take any charged particle in a substance or in an atom, where Q is equal to charge, for electron it is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs for electrons. For protons it is plus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. So collectively in quantization we wrote that Q is equal to plus or minus NA. Plus and minus represents the magnitude of the charges. That means one electron's charge is 1.6 into minus 19 coulombs. But 1 coulomb is equal to how many electrons? 1 by 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 electrons is equal to 1 coulomb. We do the calculation, it will be 6.25 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons is equal to 1 coulomb. So coulomb is the SI unit of charge, where Q is the symbol of charge. Minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs is equal to charge of electron, as well as plus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs is equal to charge of proton, nothing but the positively charged. Means one electron's charge or one proton's charge is equal to this much. But how many electrons are collected or how many electrons are collectively called as 1 coulomb means this is the solution. 1 by 1.6 in 10 to the power of minus 19 electrons, that is equal to 1 coulomb. Therefore, if you calculate all these things, you will get 6.25 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons is called as 1 coulomb. Up to now, we discussed about the what is charge, properties of the charge, how the charge will transfer from one body to another body in case of different ways of charging. Now we are going to discuss about the various forms of the charge. The charge first discovered by the Coulomb, the SI unit of charge is Coulomb, it is in his remembrance. So Coulomb as was proposed one law based on the force of attraction or force of repulsion between any charged particles. This is called Coulomb's inverse square law. This law states about the relation between the two charged particles like this. Coulomb's inverse square law. This Coulomb's inverse square law is almost similar to the Newton's universal law of gravitation. What is Newton's universal law of gravitation? If you know this, we can check the similarities between these two laws. See, Newton's universal law of gravitation. What Newton explained? He explained that any two masses separated by a distance, the force of attraction between two masses is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the masses. See, there is a similarities between Coulomb's inverse square law and Newton's universal law of gravitation. Please check both the theories. What is Newton's universal law of gravitation? Take two objects of masses m1 and m2. These two masses are separated by a distance small r, small d, s, x, whatever it may be. It is our convenience. Means two masses are separated by a distance r. Then Newton calculated the force of attraction between these two masses. So the force of attraction is directly proportional to the product of their masses, inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. collectively F is proportional to m1 m2 by r square. Therefore F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square, where G is universal gravitational constant. Newton explained the force of attraction by taking the masses of two bodies. Same, Coulomb explained the force of attraction or repulsion by taking the charges of the two bodies. Newton explained the force of attraction between two objects by considering their masses. Like that, Coulomb explained the force of attraction or repulsion between two charges by considering their charge. It will be like this. What is Coulomb's inverse square law? NUG. What is nothing but Newton's universal law of gravitation? CIL. Coulomb's inverse square law. What is this? Same. In place of masses, Coulomb's interpretation is with the charges. There are two charges, Q1, Q2. The only difference between the Newton's law and Coulomb's law is, in Newton's law, always force of attraction. But in case of Coulomb, it is not only attraction, there may be a possibility for the force of repulsion. Why? We already said that unlike charges attract each other, like charges repel each other. Suppose if these two charges are positive and positive, what is the force between these two charges? Force of repulsion. Suppose if these two charges are the negative and negative, what is the force between them? Or simply force of repulsion. Means if the force of attraction is possible only between the unlike charges. So take two charges, either it is positive positive or negative negative, or positive negative or negative positive. Their charges are Q1 and Q2. These two charges, the center of these two charges are separated by a distance called r. So the force of attraction between two charges is directly proportional to product of their charges, inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Collectively, F is proportional to Q1 Q2 by r square. In Newton's law, after removing the proportionality constant, we replaced this with G, nothing but the universal law of gravitation, as well as after removing the proportionality constant in Coulomb's law, it will be like this. K Q1 Q2 by r square. What is this K? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. What is this epsilon naught? Absolute permittivity of free space. Absolute permittivity of free space. See the comparison. Newton's law, F is proportional to m1 m2, proportional to 1 by r square. F is equal to g m1 m2 by r square, where g is universal gravitational constant. See the Coulomb's inverse square law. Two charges separated by distance. Arrangement is same. Here masses, here charges. F is proportional to Q1 Q2. F is proportional to 1 by r square. Collectively, F is proportional to Q1 Q2 by r square. After removing the proportionality constant, F is equal to K into Q1 Q2 by r square. What is this K? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon is absolute permittivity of free space. Next, we are going to discuss about the units of epsilon naught and their physical significance. Yeah, we saw the similarities between Newton's law and Coulomb's law. There, G is universal law of gravitation, or where here epsilon is equal to absolute permittivity of free space. F E is equal to electrostatic force Fg gravitational force. This Fe, nothing but the electrostatic force between two charges explained by Coulomb's inverse square law. Fg, gravitational force explained by Newton. See here, what is Fe? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1, Q2 by R square. Now we are going to discuss about the units and values of epsilon naught. Now we are going to discuss about the dimensions and units of the epsilon naught. So if any physical quantity, if you want to know the dimensions and its units, just bring that physical quantity to the opposite side. Then this physical quantity go to this side. Listen carefully. Epsilon naught is equal to 1 by 4 pi into Q1, Q2 by Fe R square. Epsilon naught is equal to 1 by 4 pi into Q1, Q2 by Fe R square. This 1 by 4 pi we are treating as a constant. Now epsilon naught is equal to Q1, Q2 by Fe by R square. Now listen. Now we are going to discuss about the unit of epsilon naught. See here, epsilon naught is equal to 1 by 4 pi into Q1, Q2 by Fe R square. We are treating 1 by 4 pi as constant. Therefore, unit of epsilon naught will be like this. Q, Q1, Q2. What is Q1? One charge, Q2, another charge, two charges. What is the SI unit of charge? Coulomb. That means Q1 into Q2 means we should multiply their units also. That means Coulomb into Coulomb by. What is Fe? Electrostatic force between two charges. What is the SI unit of force? Maybe it is electrostatic or gravitational or any force. SI unit of force is Newton. That means Fe, in place of Fe we are writing N, nothing but the unit. What is this R? Distance between two charges. The SI unit of distance between two positions, two charges, two masses, whatever it may be, it is nothing but meter. Therefore, distance is meter, here it is distance square, that's why it is meter square. That means what is the SI unit of epsilon naught? See here, Coulomb into Coulomb, Coulomb square by Newton meter square. It will be written like this also. Coulomb square Newton power minus 1 m power minus 2. This is the way to derive the unit of any physical quantity. So what is the SI unit of epsilon naught, sir? Coulomb square Newton power minus 1 meter power minus 2, or Coulomb square by Newton meter square. Yeah, what is the SI unit of epsilon naught? Coulomb square Newton power minus 1 meter power minus 2. This is unit, but what is its magnitude? Magnitude of epsilon naught. .85 into 10 to the power of minus 12. After writing the magnitude, this should be associated with the units. Coulomb square Newton power minus 1 meter power minus 2. This is the complete form of epsilon naught. Any physical quantity, it will associate with magnitude and units. If you mention the magnitude, forget the units, it's meaningless. You mention the units and forget the magnitude, it is also meaningless. So what is the complete form of epsilon naught? Its magnitude is 8.85 10 to the power of minus 12, and this magnitude is measured in Coulomb square Newton power minus 1 meter power minus 2. This is complete form of epsilon naught. What is epsilon naught? Absolute permittivity of free space. Means these two charges are placed in vacuum. If these two charges are placed in medium, this will be another form. Now we are going to discuss about the vector form of Coulomb's law. is vector? A physical quantity has direction and magnitude, or magnitude as well as direction. A vector which is associated with the direction. Without mentioning the direction, vector cannot be expressed. Now we are going to observe the vector nature of the Coulomb's law. Listen carefully. If two charges are separated by a distance r, force of attraction always starts from the positive charge ends at the negative charge. If there is no negative charge, this force of attraction continues to the infinite distances. That means force of attraction emanates from positive charge, terminates at negative charge. That means what is the direction of the force of attraction? Like this. Let us say this is Q1, Q2. Here, second charge experiencing the force of attraction due to the first charge. Second charge experiencing the force of attraction due to the first charge. Initially in Coulomb's law, we said that F is equal to K into Q1, Q2 by R square. But in vector form, we should mention the direction of attraction, the direction of measurement of the charge also. It will be like this. Here, Q2 is experiencing the force of attraction due to Q1. That's why it is R12. Therefore, F12 is equal to K into Q1, Q2 by R square. See this one, R12 cap. What is this R12 cap, sir? The force of attraction measured from 1 to 2, or charge 1 to charge 2. It will be written like this also. If it is in the opposite order, F21 is equal to K into Q1, Q2 by R square R21. What is the meaning of R21? Force of attraction is measured from second charge to the first charge. So this is the direction from 2 to 1. This is the direction from 1 to 2. According to the Newton's law, F12 is equal to F21. Both are same in magnitude but opposite in directions. In electric charges and fields, up to now we discussed about the charge, different charges, what is the different ways of charging, and properties of the charge and related problems. Now we are going to discuss about electric field, field lines, properties of the field lines. First one, electric field. We are going to discuss about the electric field. In this case, just place a charge, maybe a positive charge, maybe a negative charge. Around this positive charge, the influence of the positive charge will spread in a form of a space around it. As well as around the negative charge, the influence of this charge will spread around the same charge up to some region. That means by this explanation, what we can conclude is there is a charge and another test charge which is at a finite distance experiencing a force of attraction or repulsion. That means this charge is emanating the force on that, and the another charge which is placed just a finite distance is experiencing a force of attraction or force of repulsion. The space which covers all these points is called electric field. That means there is a charge positive, at a finite distance there is a charge Q0. This is the applied charge, this is test charge. The magnitude of the test charge is less than the applied charge or original charge. So this test charge is experiencing a force of attraction or repulsion due to this original charge. The space which covers the region around the applied charge to the test charge is called electric field. So what is the definition of electric field? The space which covers over a region from applied charge to the test charge is called electric field. The space surrounding a charge where another test charge experiences force of attraction or force of repulsion is called electric field. So this is the source charge, this is the test charge, this test charge is experiencing force of attraction or repulsion due to this source charge. The space around this source charge is called electric field. So the space around a source charge, the space around a space charge where a test charge experiences the force of attraction or force of repulsion. The space around a source charge where a test charge experiences a force of attraction or force of repulsion is called electric field. Field occupies a space like this from source charge to test charge. This is the concept of electric field. Next we are going to discuss about the electric field strength or electric field intensity. Now we are going to discuss about the electric field strength or electric field intensity. The definition and the explanation will be like this. According to the definition of the electric field, what we discussed, a test charge is experiencing the force of attraction or force of repulsion. That means electrostatic force is two types, force of attraction and force of repulsion. Test charge is experiencing any one of the force. That means the amount of force experienced by the test charge at that given point is called electric field intensity or electric field strength. Listen carefully. This is the source charge, this is the test charge. This test charge is experiencing force of attraction or force of repulsion. The amount of force experienced by this test charge at the given point is called electric field strength or intensity. The definition will be like this. The amount of electrostatic force experienced by a test charge at the given point is called electric field strength or intensity. Here I wrote electrostatic force, and we can say it is a multiple charges. We can say multiple forces are also acting on the test charge at same time, so according to their position. So the amount of electrostatic force or forces experienced by a test charge at the given point is called electric field strength or intensity. The equation will be like this. This is a vector. Why I am drawing the vector symbol on the E? Now I am going to explain. E is equal to force experienced by a test charge. Force experienced by a test charge or force experienced on the test charge. F by Q naught. What is its units? F Newton, charge Coulomb, or so this is the definition. E is equal to F by Q naught. The units of the E means electric field strength or intensity will be like this: Newton per coulomb or Newton coulomb inverse. After the explanation was over, we are going to discuss about the dimensional formula of electric field strength or intensity. Before going to write the dimensional formula of that, you should know the original formula for that. E is equal to F by Q naught. How to write the dimensions of a physical quantity? Listen. Force. We can write MA or MG by Q naught. According to the definition of electric current, I is equal to Q by T. From this we can write Q is equal to IT. Now I am applying the Q is equal to IT in this equation. MA by IT. So see the dimensions of this electric field strength. M, capital M, acceleration L by T square, I, electric current, nothing but the ampere, T, time. Simplify this: M, L, T power minus 2 by AT, therefore M, L, T power minus 3, A power minus 1. This M, L, T power minus 3, A power minus 1 is the dimensional formula or dimensional symbol of electric field strength or intensity. This is the way to write the dimensional formula. If any physical quantity was kept in these type of brackets, that means we are writing the dimensional formula for this physical quantity. This is the symbol ML T power minus 3 A power minus 1. Now we are going to discuss about the direction of the E bar. What is the meaning of direction? If any physical quantity possesses direction as well as magnitude, that is called vector. This arrow mark represents the vector status of a physical quantity. If there is no arrow mark on any physical quantity, that physical quantity is called as scalar. But we are saying that E is a vector. How? Suppose if positive charge is placed in a space, force emanates from the positive charge. So F E is equal to F by Q, force is equal to QE. Which QE? Plus QE. If negative charge is there, positive charge emanates, negative charge terminates, like this. Negative charge always receives the force of attraction. Positive charge always expels the force of attraction. In this case, E is equal to F by minus Q, therefore F is equal to minus QE. For positive charge, the formula is plus QE, where plus represents the magnitude. For negative charge, the force is minus QE, where minus represents the magnitude of the charges. Now we are going to discuss about the equation part, how to calculate the electric field strength or intensity. For this purpose, we should go back to the Coulomb's inverse square law. From that law, we can derive the equation for this one also. What is Coulomb's inverse square law? There are two charges, maybe positive or negative or positive, irrespective of the order. There is a force of attraction between these two charges. The force of attraction is directly proportional to product of their charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Now, by taking the inspiration of this law, I am placing a source charge. Because of the source charge, at a finite distance, we can expect a point charge. Let us say the source charge is Q, the test charge is Q naught. where Q is equal to source charge, Q naught is equal to test charge. These two charges are separated by a distance r. It's a finite distance, means measurable. Now, what is the force of attraction between these two charges? Nothing but the source charge and the test charge. E is equal to F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q naught by r square. This is the force of attraction or repulsion between these two charges. Now, I am bringing this Q naught to the left hand side. F bar by Q naught is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by r square. What is the definition of the electric field strength or intensity? F bar by Q naught is nothing but the E bar, nothing but electric field strength or intensity. Therefore, E bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by r square. This is the equation useful to find out the electric field strength or intensity for a given charge. If this is for the multiple charges, it will be like this. Now we are going to discuss about the electric field strength or intensity due to the presence of multiple charges within a given space. Multiple charges are located like this. This is the point. With respect to this point P, there are many charges are distributed over a region at finite distances in all directions. See, there is a charge Q2 which is at a distance of R2P from the position P. There is a charge Q1 which is at a distance of R1P from P. There is a charge Q3 which is at a position R3P from P. Charge Q4 which is at a position R4P from P. The corresponding electric field strengths due to all these multiple charges are like this. See, because of the charge Q2, the electric field is E2. Because of the charge Q4, the electric field is E4. Because of the charge Q3, the electric field is E3. Because of the charge Q1, the electric field is U1. Now we are going to find out the total sum of electric field strength over the multiple charges. If you want to find out the total sum, what we should do? We should add all the multiple individual electric field strength. Therefore, total electric field strength or intensity due to multiple charges E bar is equal to E1 bar plus E2 bar plus E3 bar and so on up to En bar. What is E1 bar? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 by R1P square. What is U2? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q2 by R2P square. What is E3? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q3 by R3P square and so on. What is En? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Qn by Rnp square. This is sum of all individual electric field strengths or intensities. What is the vector notation? E bar is equal to summation over 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Qi by Rip square, where I is equal to 1 to N. This is the expression for sum of or total electric field strength or intensities due to the multiple charges which are arranged like this with respect to a common point. Or we can write the 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught outside and we can apply the summation symbol only for the Q and R like this. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into summation over qi by rip square, where I is equal to 1 to n. This is the way to express the calculated electric field strength or intensity due to multiple charges. Now we are watching one problem which is related to the discussed concept, nothing but the electric field strength or intensity. See the question: a hollow metallic sphere of radius 10 centimeters is given a charge of 3.2 microcoulombs. Find E bar in nothing but the electric field strength or intensity at a point 14 centimeter from the center. That means this is the sphere. The radius of the sphere is 10 centimeters. This sphere was charged or applied to 3.2 microcoulombs of the charge. Microcoulombs of the charge. Now we want to find out E bar at a point 14 centimeters from the center. This is already 10 centimeters and more 4 centimeters. At this point we should find out the E bar. What is the formula? E bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. This is the formula: 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. Q is equal to 3.2 microcoulombs. 3.2 into micro means 10 power minus 9 coulombs by, at what distance we should find out the E bar? At 14 centimeters from the center of the sphere. 14 centimeters means 10 power minus 2 meters whole square. Now please see the solution. 9 into 3.2, 28.8 into 10 power 9 and 10 power minus 9 cancel out, whole divided by 14 into 10 power minus 2 meter whole square. 14 square is 196 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meter square. This is coulomb. This 10 power minus 4 goes up. 28.8 into 10 to the power of 4 by 196 coulomb per meter square. Now please listen. 28.8 into 10 to the power of 4 to 10 square cube 4 by 196 per meter square. 288,000 by 196 coulomb per meter square. After solving this division, we will get 1469.38. It is already coulomb per meter square, and the multiplication of the units of 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, it will be Newton per coulomb. This much is the electric field intensity at 14 centimeters away from the center of the metallic sphere, where the sphere is charged to 3.2 microcoulombs. This is one of the sample problem which relates to this concept. Now we are going to discuss about the different properties of electric field lines. The properties will be like this. First one, electric field lines always obeys the curved path where the positive charge is moving. Field lines are curved path. Second point, these field lines won't intersect with each other and it won't pass through the conductor. The field lines won't intersect with each other. Third one, If a positive charge is placed in a space, always the force of attraction or electric field lines starts from the positive charge, nothing but the emanating from the positive charge, and terminates or ends at the negative charge. If in the path there is no negative charge, the effect or the strength of the positive charge will reaches to the infinity, like this. Suppose if I place a positive charge, the force or field lines emanates like this. This emanating almost reaches or ends at the negative charge. If there is no negative charge in the path which is around the positive charge, the field lines will travel to the infinite distance in searching of the negative charge. This is one of the point we should understand. The same concept, it is applicable in electric field potential also. Positive charge, the field will travels from positive charge and reaches to the negative charge. In the absence of the negative charge, if the negative charge is absent in the path, the field lines will travel to the infinite distance. That means field lines emanates from the positive charge, terminates at negative charge. Field lines emanates from positive charge and terminates at negative charge. As I said, if there is no negative charge, if there is no opposite charge in the path, the field lines can travel to the infinite distance. Up to some distance, the strength will be same. But after crossing or approaching towards the infinity level, the strength of the electric field lines are going to decrease. Then we can write, or you can imagine a space around the charge like this. As the distance is going to decrease or increases, the field strength is also going to decrease. This concept was led to the electric field, which was already discussed by us in previous. Next property, it is like this. We will see some of the diagrams of the electric field lines between the different charges. If it is positive to negative, the direction of the field lines will be like this. If it is from negative to positive, same diagram which is in the reverse order. See the arrow mark direction, then you can understand. As I said, emanating, terminating. Here also it is emanating, terminating. But what about the field lines direction between the like poles? It is like this. Suppose if a positive and positive is approached to a finite distance, what will be the field lines? Because they won't intersect with each other and force of repulsion takes place. See, positive to positive. Here the positive to negative, and this is also positive to negative in the reverse direction. See the arrow mark. It is intersecting, means positive to negative we can draw an imaginary line. But positive to positive, they won't intersect because of the force of repulsion, they are deviating like this. The same diagram is possible for the negative to negative also. The next property will be like this. As we discussed, electric field lines are curve in path. So, suppose if this is one of the curve which is emanating from one charge to the terminating at another charge. The tangent to this electric field line at any given point, please repeat, the tangent at any point on this line gives us the direction of electric field intensity. How to write the tangent? This is one of the way to write the tangent. So the tangent at any point on the curve gives the direction of electric field intensity. This is one property. And what the last and final property? It will be like this. Electric field lines are always normal or perpendicular to the surface. Electric field lines are always normal or perpendicular to the surface of the charged body. Suppose this is the charged body, the surface of the charged body. Field lines are always normal or perpendicular to the surface of charged body. This is also one of the property of electric field lines. So what we discussed, electric field lines are starting from positive charge and terminates at negative charge. If there is no negative charge or there is no opposite charge in the path, the field lines can travel to the infinite distance. As the distance is approaching to the infinite, the strength of the electric field lines are going to decrease. There we can assume a space where the force of attraction or repulsion is experienced by the another charge. This is one of the property of the electric field lines. And one more, they won't intersect with each other, and we saw the direction of the electric field lines from between the different charges. And the tangent of this curve at any point gives us the direction of the electric field strength, and electric field lines are perpendicular or normal to the surface of charged body. These are the main important points in the properties of electric field lines. Now we are going to discuss about one application of this electric field. Whenever a particle is released in the electric field, what is its motion? How much distance a particle can travel in the electric field? What is its velocity? And how much energy a charged particle can gain which is released in the electric field? The things are like this. Listen. There is a particle which is released in the electric field. This particle may experience the force of attraction or repulsion because it is under the influence of electric field. Maybe it is force of attraction or force of repulsion. F is equal to QE. Now, because of the field variation, the charged particle, the particle which is released in the electric field, may accelerate within the field. That means our first work is to find out the acceleration of this particle which is released in the electric field. Now to find out the acceleration, we know that acceleration is equal to F by m. That means, what is F, sir? QE by m. Initially, before dropping the particle in electric field, its velocity is 0. Now we are going to find out the velocity attained by this particle after putting in electric field. So, the final velocity of a particle released in electric field is equal to V is equal to U plus AT. We know that initial velocity of the particle before putting in electric field is 0. Therefore, V is equal to 0 plus, what is the acceleration? Let us say this is equation 1. From equation 1, acceleration is equal to QE by m into t. Therefore, the final velocity is equal to QE by m into t. This is the final velocity attained by the particle which is released in the electric field. Now, the distance traveled by this particle and the energy gained by the particle. These two things are left about this problem. So the final velocity of the particle released in uniform electric field V is equal to QE by M into T. Now, how much distance this particle can travel in the electric field? We are going to discuss that. This is the final velocity. Therefore, the distance traveled by the particle released in uniform electric field is equal to, the distance approach is S. What is the kinematic equation of distance? S is equal to ut plus half et square. It is the kinematic relation which relates the distance and acceleration. So therefore, we know that u is 0 plus half. What is A? F by M, where A is equal to F by M, where F is equal to QE. Therefore, distance is equal to QET square by 2M, or Ft square by 2M. See, two relations we got. This is the final velocity approached or attained by the particle which is released in the uniform electric field, QE by M into T. This is the maximum distance a particle can travel in the uniform electric field. What is the equation? QE T square by 2M, where Q is equal to charge, where E is equal to electric field intensity, T is equal to time, where M is equal to mass of the particle. Now we are going to find out the velocity or kinetic energy attained by the particle which is released in the electric field. Ke attained by the particle which is released in uniform electric field. What is the equation of Ke? Half mv square. Therefore, half m is equal to mass. What is V? Just go back to the video. QE by Ke is equal to half mv square, half m. What is V? QE by m into T whole square. Therefore, half m into q square, e square, t square by m square. M and m square get cancelled. Therefore, Ke of the charged particle when it is released in the uniform electric field is equal to q square, e square, t square by 2m, where q is equal to charge, E is equal to electric field intensity, T is equal to time taken, M is equal to mass of the particle which is released in electric field. Now we are going to discuss about the electric flux. The amount of water, the content of water which is coming out of a plastic tube whenever electric motor is switched on, that is called flux. That is said to be water flux. Flux means some amount of the force which is coming out of the body. In case of water flux, the amount of the force in a form of water which is coming out of the tube which is connected to the electric motor. Such like that, electric flux is also defined in the same way. But see the height. This is the conducting body. A charge is applied to the conducting body. charge always expels out. This conducting body is divided into small infinitesimal areas like this. The total surface area of the conductor is S. Of conductor. Whenever a charge is placed inside the conductor, field lines always expels out. Because of the field lines are expelling out, it causes to the electric field, means some electric field lines are crossing a small portion of the conducting medium by making an angle of perpendicular. That means the number of electric field lines which are crossing the conducting medium at an angle of 90 degrees is called electric flux. Let us say if the total surface area of this conductor is S, I am taking a small portion in that area. Can I say this small portion is ds? And some electric field lines are also crossing through this ds. There are many ds, ds1, ds2, this is ds3, up to like dsn. All collectiveness of ds1 to dsn is called S, nothing but the total surface area of conductor. The number of electric field lines which are passing through the unit surface area of a conducting medium at an angle of 90 degrees is called electric flux. The definition is like this: the number of electric field lines of force which are passing through a unit surface area of a conducting body is called electric flux. Just try to visualize the electric flux. What is the meaning of electric flux? The number of field lines which are passing through the unit surface area of a conducting body by making an angle of 90 degrees. The perpendicular angle is very, very important. That means the symbol of the electric flux is phi. To eliminate the confusion, it is the actual symbol of the electric flux. Electric field lines passing through unit surface area of the body. If you remove the dot, it is EDS cos theta. Always the electric field lines and the surface are perpendicular to each other. Therefore, cos 90 is equal to 1. Therefore, pi E is equal to E ds. The value of this ds may change with respect to the shape of the conductor. If it is a sphere, what is the surface area of the sphere? 4 pi r square. If it is another medium or maybe a trapezium type model, cylindrical type model, a triangular type model, the surface area is going to change. E is not variable, E is constant. Only this ds value is going to change. So this is the concept of electric flux. What is the unit of the electric flux? Unit of pi E is equal to, it is nothing but ES, where S is equal to total surface area, or ds is also a small element of the total surface area. Electric field is Newton per coulomb, surface area is meter square, or we can write volt per meter into meter square. M and M square get cancelled, volt meter. The SI unit of electric flux is volt meter, where V represents volt, M represents meter. The next concept in the lesson is electric dipole and its related applications. What is electric dipole? Di means two, dipole means two poles. What is the arrangement of dipoles? In the electric field, we started the field lines from positive and ends at negative. What is the dipole structure? Listen carefully. There are two charges which are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Two equal and opposite charges which are separated by a finite distance. The arrangement is called electric dipole. Two equal and opposite charges which are separated by a finite distance. Is called electric dipole. The visualization of the electric pole is like this. Starts with the negative charge, positive charge. This is minus Q, this is plus Q. A dot, which represents the point charges. These two charges are separated by a finite distance, let us say 2a. This Q has some electric field, plus Q is also having some electric field. The radius will be a and a, therefore the distance between the plus Q and minus Q or minus Q to plus Q in the order of dipole is 2a. Then what is the magnitude of the charges? Q. Sign is different because it's a positive sign and negative sign. The distance between the two charges is 2a. This arrangement is called dipole. What are the examples of the dipole? Yes, if there is any physical name is there in the science, there should be some examples. Electric dipole means two equal and opposite charges are separated by a distance. So what are the examples? Best example for the electric dipole structure is magnet. A magnet also having north pole and south pole. A north pole always attracts the south, south attracts towards the north. It is high field potential, this is low field strength. This is high field strength, low field strength. This means two different fields or two opposite charges are separated by a finite distance because we can measure the length of the magnet. So the distance is finite, measurable, not infinite. And one more example, atomic structure. Where the positive charge is located inside the nucleus, the remaining negative charge is revolving around the nucleus. Means the distance from positive to negative charge is fixed. So that's why this atomic structure is also called one of the example for the electric dipole. Any two charges which are separated in a finite way is called electric dipole. These two are the well-known examples for us. The next point in the electric dipole is dipole momentum. Dipole momentum of electric dipole. In any case, there are three different types of momentum. Linear momentum, which is in the mechanics, angular momentum, which is in the rotational dynamics, this one dipole momentum, which is in the electric charges. Yes, we know that two charges are separated by a finite distance. These two centers minus q plus q, the distance between the charges is 2a or 2d, 2x, whatever, it is our convenience. Dipole momentum symbol is P. Dipole moment or momentum. P. What is the definition of dipole moment or momentum? Magnitude of charge into distance between the charges. between charges. What is the magnitude of charge here? Q. Is it plus Q or minus Q? No problem. What is the distance between these two charges? 2a. Therefore, dipole momentum P is equal to 2aq. This is one of the physical quantity where we can understand in the electrostatics or electric charges and fields. Now, for this physical quantity, we are going to discuss about the dimensions. Dimensions of dipole momentum is equal to 2a is the distance, q is the charge. What is the SI unit of charge? Coulomb. What is the SI unit of the distance? Meter. Coulomb into meter. So the symbol is Coulomb meter. This Coulomb meter is the unit of the P. SI unit of the P. SI unit of P.